All right, welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully the food was good. You can thank Debbie for Olive Garden. That was her choice. That's always a pretty safe choice, Olive Garden. Lindsay's over it. She's like, no Olive Garden for me.
I don't know the area, so I just had to go with what I knew.
Oh, we love Olive Garden up here. No, it's good. It's all good.
I'm like, Olive Garden's always safe.
Every year when we do our magazine favorites campaign, Olive Garden wins Best Italian. And I'm like, there's some pretty good Italian places that are actually Italian, you know, but Olive Garden wins, so. Okay, so everybody's like, how do you know Sean? I don't. Nice to meet you, Sean. I do now, yeah. Now we're friends, so thanks for coming. How's it going? Grab food and grab a seat. Don't miss the food. So, all right. Well, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ryan Spelts. I'm the Weber County connection up here. These two are actually from Utah County, but we started talking, Debbie and I started talking online, and I was like, you're doing such cool stuff down there. I would love to see some of that come up north, and we have some sweet stuff up here too, and the more we talked, we decided, hey, let's do an event together, and so that's kind of how this came about. And I've done some trainings here. Actually, Janice is a good friend, and she's been through one of my courses, and they pay 40% of that. So I've been able to get approved through Custom Fit as well as a trainer, so that's kind of a cool thing as well. But anyway, thanks for being here, and it's good to see you all. So who here has a dream, a goal, an aspiration that's been on your list for years and years that you haven't gone for, haven't accomplished yet? Lindsay, what is it?
Oh my God, I got so many.
Pick one.
One of them is to quit my job and take my business full time.
Awesome. What's holding you back?
Money, finances, debt.
Fear?
Yeah.
I know her well, and she could do it. I'm telling you, she could do it. So I waited 40 years. My wife's like, you didn't wait 40 years. You know, I was 40, but I assume in the womb I was thinking I wanted my own business, you know. But I waited 40 years before I actually chased my dream. I tried a lot of little things, right? I'd stick my toe in and be like, oh, I'll try that. Maybe that'll turn into a business. So here's a list of things that I've started, and all of them failed or dropped out, whatever. Lawn mowing, landscaping, princess dresses. I actually knew a distributor of princess dresses in Utah. I was in Las Vegas at the time. I built a rudimentary website. Didn't know how to connect it to their inventory system, so I just put pictures of stuff on the website. People found it. People bought stuff. And then I'd go to get the drop order from the company, and they're like, oh, we quit making that last year. It was terrible. The whole business was refunding money. That's what the whole thing was. So that one failed. I finally just took the website down. I'm like, quit buying this stuff. It's causing me pain. Curb painting, window washing, Amazon store, a garage sale business where I'd buy stuff in bulk, and I thought, oh, I'll just sell this at garage sales. Garage sale people want stuff for so dang cheap. They were buying it cheaper than I was buying it for. A cost analysis business. If you know me, numbers ain't my thing, okay? So that was not a good idea for me to go into cost analysis. So some of you in here are good at that stuff. Not me. All right. None of them worked. However, along the way, I continued to put my head down. I continued to work. I amassed $55 million in personal career sales of different products, working for different companies. And eventually, I started a magazine company here locally. For those of you that know me, you know Connection Magazines. We've grown that. We've seen it go up, and we're seeing it go down, interestingly enough. It has not been a good, kind couple of years for us. The cost of doing business has gotten ridiculous. So it's morphed. We've morphed into a marketing company, something that I've been passionate about for many, many years. And it's also morphing into training and education, which is kind of fun too, so kind of consulting type business. I've even worked as a fractional chief marketing officer for a couple companies and done things that way, which has been really fun. There's always been one thing, though, that I've been fascinated by and have studied, and that is marketing. That is the currency of being able to get people to know who you are and what you do and to give you money for doing it. I love that little piece. It's something I've studied. And I have studied it for many, many years. My whole career was spent in actual direct sales. So door to door, belly to belly, face to face, direct sales. That's what I spent a career doing. And people are like, how'd you get into marketing? I'm like, I have studied marketing from the very beginning, because to me, a sales pitch is a form of marketing. The saying the right things, getting the right attitude and experience with someone. That's all part of marketing as well. But I also learned early on that I could seed an area where my salespeople were going to show up to with different marketing pieces and increase their results significantly. So doing old school as you can get, door-to-door marketing and door-to-door sales, and I could market and increase our results. And so I've studied Dan Kennedy, David Ogilvy, Neil Patel, Zig Ziglar, Seth Godin, Simon Sinek, Tom Hopkins, Dale Carnegie, Earl Nightingale, and Jim Rohn. I've just spent a lifetime wanting to master that skill. And I can tell you I'm definitely not a master still. I'm still studying and still learning. But I reached 100 clients served over 4 years ago, and I quit counting. So I actually don't know where I'm at right now because I was like, I can't keep track of them at this point. But I tell you that because I think if I could amass or could account for the sales that I've helped them make, I'd probably be 500 million in career sales. I don't count that, but if I could, because I've helped a lot of businesses, it's a passion of mine. And so today I put together a little checklist. I went low tech today. I usually always have slides, so I got my paper here. I went low tech, and I wrote out, this is my 7-step checklist for success in business, okay? Some of it's a little philosophical, but some of it's down and dirty, so hopefully you got your notes ready. So number one thing, if you've got a dream, Lindsay, you've got a dream, pick a direction and start going that way, okay? You can change later. I'm in the middle of having to change because of some big changes in my industry and some things that are different, and I can tell you it's painful, however, it's possible. And a lot of times going the wrong direction teaches you or gives you opportunities to find other directions that you want to go to. So pick a direction and start. Don't wait 40 years like I did. Just start. I wanted it to be perfect. You could probably relate to this, right? I wanted to be perfect before I started, before I tried to sell something. I wanted everything exactly right. And the problem is you can't get there. You can't even get better until you start. You have to start. And so starting is number one. I was golfing with my son. Kobe is in the back. We own a business together. And he is my oldest. He's 23. He's been in a B&I group for a couple of years, and started when he was 21. And he's like, man, it's a bunch of old people in there. But he's absolutely loved it. It's been the coolest thing. Some of those old people are here. They're not that old. They're not that old. But we went yesterday. We shot our podcast. We're trying something kind of cool. We're going to do some unique things on our podcast. But we went to the golf range, mic'd up, and set up the cameras, and just hit balls while we were visiting and doing our podcast. We're just kind of mixing it up for ourselves. It was really hot. We were like dripping sweat. And we were on the top at Toads, which is kind of a range here, and it was just sunny and hot. So, but I told him, I was like, Kobe, I tried to get you into golfing since you were in high school, and you wanted nothing to do with it. And he admitted two things to me. He said, number one, I thought it was kind of nerdy. He's like, some dads do. I don't want to do that. That's lame. And then and he's always been athletic, so I'm like, I bet you'll be good at it. You should play. And he didn't want to. The second thing he said was, I went with you a couple of times, and I was just really bad at it. And I was like, well, first of all, I don't know anybody can hit that little tiny ball with a stick and be good at it right off the start. It's a tough game. It's part of what keeps us coming back for those of us that play. But the truth is, that's how business is as well. You've got to just start. If you've got a dream, an idea, get going on it and just start moving forward. It will be scary. When we decided to start the magazines, I didn't know what to do. I called some friends and I was like, hey, I need to talk to some business owners. Do you know any business owners? I need to sell some advertising. And they're like, oh, did you get the contract? No. The city was still debating. It took them months to go through city council to decide if they were going to have this official city magazine. It wasn't approved yet. We didn't have an actual product. I didn't even have something to show them. So I went out. I didn't even have business cards. I had a logo that was a mountain. And if you've been in Ogden for very long, and probably all of Utah, every logo has mountains in it, you know? And I was like, I drew it on my computer, and I was like, okay, that's my logo. And I went out and I wrote up some stuff. It was really rudimentary. And I went into John Watson Chevrolet. They're still a client today. And I met Corey for the first time. I pitched him the idea of what I wanted to do, which was the city magazine that was the official city of North Ogden. And he said, I want the back cover, and I'll do it for a year. It was a $20,000 contract. I didn't even have a contract from the city yet. I couldn't even put him in. But I said, when we get there, you're committed. And he said, yes, I'm committed. So go try. If someone doesn't want to buy what you think you're going to sell, you don't have a product yet. You either got to morph it, change it, or find the right customer for it, okay? Number 2, keep moving. I hear people say they need motivation. I've been a sales trainer for many years, and salespeople are like, oh, I'm just not motivated. The truth is, you're just not moving. You've got to put your head down and go start working and go start finding people, talking, having conversations. The most important piece of business that you can do is having conversations. Having a conversation where I'm like, hey, I'd love to bring you guys up here. Let's do something up north. And those are conversations you can have. You just have to reach out and try and see what happens. It's pretty surprising. The freedom you want for being your own boss is really interesting because people say it to me all the time. They're like, well, I just want to be my own boss. I want to control my own schedule. The only people I know willing to trade working 40 hours a week in order to work 80 are entrepreneurs, right? For less pay, more time, if that's what you want, welcome to the club. But here's the thing. Make some lists, make some tasks, start doing them. Make yourself a boss of yourself. If you've had a tough boss before because they were demanding, that's the kind of person you have to be with your own self. So keep moving forward. You also have to give yourself permission to suck. You have to give yourself permission to be uncomfortable, to be unhappy, to be broke, to not achieve for a long period of time. Sometimes it is just a grind in lack of success and learning. You're going to feel like a fraud. You're going to be wrong. You're going to look different, feel different. You're going to have people who tell you you're dumb, who look down on you for the decisions you're making. You have to be a student continually, and you're going to be embarrassed more than once. Probably most of the time, you'll end up being embarrassed. Okay, number 3, keep learning. Now, obviously, the traditional, the cliche is, study, come to things like this, learn and get education. Yes, that's what I mean, but I also mean learn from the things you do. As a salesperson, Kobe and I also talked about this. When he first started in sales, he was terrible. And we've talked about it on our podcast before. I told him, I was like, I didn't think you were going to be any good at it. Because in high school, every time something got hard, he would just quit. He'd be like, I don't want to do that anymore. That's dumb. And I was like, man, you're going to try sales? That's like the hardest thing you can do, right? And so he goes out and actually kicks butt and surprised me, made me proud as a dad. I was super excited, but we talked about how he learned. And he's like, well, the first time you're terrible, but you listen and you pay attention to what they say, and then you try something a little different, and then you try something a little different again. And he goes, and then all of a sudden you have a success, and you're like, oh man, I wish I recorded that, because then I could know all the things I said that were so good that made that person buy. But then it becomes something you can repeat. That's how business is. Try it, learn from the mistakes you make, and get better. We do this with marketing plans. Just to give you an idea, we work with a plumbing company down in Salt Lake, and we just got a month into to working with them, and we gathered all the data, and we're changing all their ads. The reason we're changing their ads is because we went in, and the things they thought were the key words that people were searching for, none of them are on the list. Okay, none of them were on the list. They wanted water heaters on the list. Not even on not a lot of search volume for water heaters. I'm sure people need them, but they're not high. Or no, water softeners. Water heaters were on the list. They thought water softeners. Anyway, there was a whole list. We're changing all of that because we're paying attention to what's happening and saying, okay, we got to adjust. We're going to adjust the creative. We're going to adjust the words. We're going to adjust all those things. At Utah Woolen Mills is another client, and we just realized that there's a lot of custom suit places out there that'll say, oh, we'll make you a custom suit, but they can make you a custom suit for $400. Utah Woolen Mills suits start at $1,500 and go up from there. So they're like, that's not really our clientele. Our clientele is we have over $1 million in suits sitting on the racks in here. They're all high-end luxury suits, and we will custom tailor them to you, but you can actually try them on. I've actually purchased suits before, custom tailored, and both of them came out looking the same. I ordered them from swatches, and I was like, that'll be cool, and that'll be cool, and I got 2 suits that were almost identical. I was like, ugh, because I didn't see them. If I had tried them on in the store, it would have been different, okay? So keep learning. Learn from what you experience. Learn from what people say. Number 4, don't get stuck. Be organized, but don't get stuck. A lot of people are like, well, I got to get this figured out before I launch it. I say fire, then get ready, and then aim. All right? Start shooting, start figuring it out, see what people do, see what happens, see what they say, what feedback do you get. I was visiting with my brother-in-law. He's a very successful businessman down in Las Vegas. And it was early on in our business. And I had lost what seemed like an exorbitant amount of money at the time. I don't even remember how much it was. So it probably was big, but not maybe not as big as what some could do, right? But I was so distraught about losing this money, investing in this thing that went south. And I remember we were sitting on this fireplace. I don't even know whose house it was. We were visiting some distant family member or whatever, and we were sitting right next to each other. And I was telling him this story, and he looked at me and he's like, chalk that up to tuition. It made a big difference in my life, because I was like, I did learn a lot from that experience. I learned a lot from paying that tuition. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is the most important when you start. It's to define your who. Define your target audience. Who is it that you're talking to, and why would they do business with you? Why is number 6. So number 5, define your who. Who is it? If you tell me, if I ask you who's your who, and you say something like anybody who or everybody who, I know that you don't know who your who is. It's not anybody. It's not everybody. Anybody who has a toilet? No. If you're a plumber, it's not. Okay? Everybody who does this? No, it's not everybody who. Even within a niche, you're going to have your own niche. Okay? Seth Godin says it's a minimum viable audience. It's big enough to make a business, but it's small enough that you can focus on them specifically, talk specifically to them, and communicate in a way that they're going to respond to. And that leads us to number 6, which is your why. Now, if you've read the book, Start With Why, that's not what I'm talking about. Start With Why is great. It's talking about your motivations, your why. This why is your who's why. Why would your who buy from you? If you're sitting right next to each other and you got Rentmeisters Home Services, which these guys are awesome, and right next to them is another home services company, what makes Rentmeisters the choice to choose? Okay? But more importantly, the who that really enjoys doing business with you, and it makes it easy for them to do business with you because they like you, what's their why? Why would they pick you? And then being able to communicate that to a lot of people. So my why, my who, just so you know, with our company, my who is small business owners who have done the basics and have some money to invest and in getting to the next level, right? They're ready to invest in marketing and going to that next level and growing to that next area. In fact, I saw Caesar come in. He said something really fun one day, and I'll probably butcher it, but you said, I love talking to Ryan because he'll teach me how to build the car until I'm ready someday to hook it up to his 747 and then he can fly with me, right? Because his business is really small, one-man show. He's growing. He's doing awesome things, by the way. I love watching what you do online. Really, doing smart things with marketing. But he's not quite ready to work with us yet, right? So that's my who, specifically. And they're local, too. We do best when they're local. And my why is companies who are looking for a creative company. They want things, I don't even know what I wrote there. What does that even say? Anyway, they want someone who knows the technology, they know how to use it, they know what's best for them. Sometimes people will say, well, what's best? And I'm like, well, there is no best because it's different for every single business. So I need companies that know they want someone who understands, who can do the analysis and say, okay, this is where you should be. This is where you should spend money and not here. Or across these several different things. So that's my why. The last one is make sure you do the basics. So the basics are start with sales. Sell something. Okay? Get someone to give you money. Even if it's small. A lot of times I'll tell people, hey, do stuff for dang cheap at first, just to see what people are willing to do, and then raise your price, and then raise your price again. It's not going to get out, I promise you. And even if it does, it's okay. You'd be like, well, I'm better now. It costs more. Okay? So make sales, then learn how to do marketing, then get good at execution and fulfillment, right? So sometimes it's tricky. So when we first started the magazine, it was my wife and I and a graphic designer, right? And I'm out selling all day. We get really close to the first magazine, and she's like, what are you going to do for content? I'm like, I don't know. I'm working all day, every day selling. And she's like, well, you got to have content. And I'm like, yeah, can you help me this one time? Well, this one time has lasted 8 years, so she still helps every single day. But we had to get organized, right? And then we brought someone in because somebody gave me feedback, and they're like, man, there's so many errors in your magazine. It's kind of frustrating to read it. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So I hired a proofreader, right? And we had that proofreader come in, and they were like, you want a magazine? You don't even know English very good. And I'm like, I know. It's okay. I'm a sales guy. What do you want? Do the basics, right? Get better as you go. Figure it out. So we got that proofreader in. Well, then we were like, man, we're designing this magazine, and then the proofreader's going in and just hacking it all apart because they're proofing it in the final proof. I was like, we got to do this different. So then we developed a system, and it came with some automations, and it made it nice because we could put the article in, and then they could go in. It would tell them, hey, you got an article review. They'd review it, and then they'd approve it, and then we'd design it, and it fixed so many things, and it saved so much time. We couldn't have figured that out if we didn't start where we were and then get better at doing it, right? So start somewhere. But then develop leadership skills, because you're going to have people coming to you, and you're going to have people that need to work for you. So you learn how to do well with interpersonal communication. You'll learn how to be a good trainer. Kobe was working with Trey, who is answering some phones with him at his business, and he's like, well, I don't even know how to train him. And I said, here's what you do. You show him, then you let him go get his nose bloodied. Then you show him again.
It hurts the first time.
Is this so
But when
much
you do
you
it
learn?
again.
It is. Grab a chair. Come on in. Or grab food, yeah. So do it, show them, and then let them go get their nose bloodied. Then show them again. Then let them get their nose bloodied again. And then if they're still struggling, then you go watch them. If you watch them at first, it will be the most painful thing you've ever done in your life. They just don't even know what from what. So show them, let them go. Show them, let them go. Then go watch if you need to troubleshoot. That's all you got to do. And then you learn, okay, that didn't work. That person hates me now and they quit. Well, do better next time, right? All right, the last one, I think that was 6. I've got my numbers off. Last one is look back and measure progress. I met a gentleman, Kent Whipple. You guys have heard of Whipple Service Champions. When I was early in my business, I think we were 2 years in business. I was really frustrated because we hadn't hit the growth goals that I wanted. We hadn't hit the sales goals that I wanted. Nothing was where I wanted to be. And he said, just stop for a second. And I was like, he's like, think back to a year from today. What was it? It was February. And I was like, okay. He's like, are you in a better spot today than you were then? And I was like, well, yeah, but I'm still not. And he's like, no, look back. So I think you look back to calm yourself down, and you look forward to make plans. Okay, you will have to make plans and move quick. So, okay, that is the majority of what I was going to cover today. So, did anybody get anything out of that? Hopefully, you learned something. So, I want to tell you about one of the trainings that we have. If you're local or are willing to travel, we have some pretty cool trainings that we put on. It's based on this book that I wrote, The Get Attention: Unlocking the Secrets of Small Business Marketing. It involves a lot more than just marketing. Because of my sales background, I have a really unique, perspective on marketing, because I'm not just in marketing. I'm not a graphic designer who moved into marketing. I'm a salesman. I know how to sell products and get them into place. So if you guys wouldn't mind taking one of these, it's just a little survey, and then pass them back too. And there's pens. Everybody should have a pen, but if you need one, raise your hand. I'll throw you one. I throw hard though, just be warned. So here's some of the things we'll cover in the class. Learn strategic marketing techniques. Learn a simple 5-step marketing plan. Define your who and why. This isn't going to be a class where we say, okay, make sure you define your who and your why. No, we're going to do it in the class. It's hands-on. So we get into it and define it. We'll do your brand circle. This is one of the coolest exercises you'll do, especially if you have a brand that's been around for a minute. It'll tell you whether your team knows your brand or not. It's fascinating. How much should your budget be for marketing? How much should you be spending? Okay, it's easy to. I tell you, we will take every penny you'll throw at us, and we will take all of your money if you're willing to give it to marketing. You don't want to do that though, but we will take it. Prioritize the order. You should be choosing the advertising channels that you choose, right? Where should I go first? Should I be on social media? Should I be on search? What should I spend money on? We'll help you define that. We'll help you know where and when. The currency of attention, trigger words to capture curiosity, marketing layers, special events, loss leaders, make your brand sticky, stand out from a crowd, hands-on exercises where we work directly on your business. We also talk through the creative process and systemizing your business, leadership techniques, and sales techniques. We also go into the $1 million secret. One thing that a lot of businesses get stuck on is when they're new, the small business owner has to focus on 55 different things, right? What color's my logo? What should my domain be? Do I get a phone number or do I just use my cell phone? Like there's so much crap, little minutia you're trying to focus on. That's when you're new, okay? When you start growing up, you move into phase 2 where you focus on 3 things. Lead generation, sales, and fulfillment, right? It gets easier. But the biggest companies in the world, the founders usually have mastered one thing. It's lead generation, which is marketing, right? They know how to make sure the phone rings, make sure the website gets clicks, make sure that they're getting traffic to what they want to do, and we'll teach you how to do that. So this course, Janice has been through it. We are changing it up a little bit. I think you paid $1,000 for it. You got some custom fit out of it. Yeah, so she got some, but it's a $1,000 course. It's a 10-week course. We are changing things, and we're actually, because the 8-week course had some attrition, which drove me nuts, because I want people to be in the seats. I want them to learn what they paid to learn. And so we've changed it up. We're going to do a 2-day intensive. We have not picked the date yet, because July is coming, and it's like the worst month in the world, unless you really like holidays, because there's lots of those. So, but July is coming, so we'll plan it for August or September. But it'll be a 2-day intensive. We're doing a very limited offering for anybody in here where it's $299 instead of $999. So a significant discount. It will still qualify for custom fit. And if you're in this room right now and you fill out my little survey and mark the little box, you're not committing to anything, but you'll also get an extra $150 off of that. That's for being part of this Lunch and Learn. So it'll be $150, 2-day intensive. We'll feed you, and it'll probably be held here. We'll let you know the date when it comes, and so it'll be awesome. We look forward to having you, and so that'll give you a good incentive if you are looking to up your game. Okay.